G'day, guys.
All
Welcome
right.
back to another episode of the Cool Dad Collective podcast, the podcast that is for dads by a dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood, the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations, everything in between. And I'm joined today by an international guest, a man that is causing stirs online for, I don't actually, we had this chat just a second ago. How you're causing a stir with what you're posting makes no sense to me, but we've got a stir. We've got some numbers. We've got some views on the board. Mr. Double million views on the Still Bleeding video. Very excited. We got Mr. Bret Green. Dad's got bars, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the intro. I feel like a superstar now.
Oh, you are a superstar, man. A dad doing some dad rap. I came, so just a bit of background on how I sort of came across you, man. I got sent your videos by actually a friend of my partner, Kia's, and she said, "Oh, this guy does like amazing videos, amazing rap videos." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll give him a go. I'll give him a go." And mate, I watched a couple of your videos. I listened to a couple of your songs, and mate, you are onto something here. You are the dad rap is unbelievable, but it's also like parent rap too. And
Yeah.
mate, if you haven't seen Dad's Got Bars, I would pause the podcast right now before you come back. Obviously, I want you to come back, but pause the podcast, go on Instagram, look at Dad's Got Bars, go listen to Brett's songs. It's unbelievable because the thing I love about your stuff is you're touching on topics that are almost like, as a male, as like, a musician and things like that, you're touching on topics that are really, really important. And it's fantastic to see you giving like, really well produced, great verses. And as a rap sort of, I guess, connoisseur or fan, hearing stuff, you actually just nail it. Like it's catchy, it nails everything. And you're talking about topics that are really important. So, mate, I love it. So, firstly, you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of strange, right? There's like this weird I like this juxtaposition between like hip hop and parenting. Like it's never really been there are some people who I've seen do it, and so like I'm an actor by trade, so that's what I do normally. I've been doing that for 12 years.
Yeah.
And when things slow down, you got to find other things to do. And initially I had a conversation with my manager about, oh, you should keep doing like the music thing you do, but you're a dad now. Maybe you should do like kid stuff. So originally I was going to do like toddler preschool type hip hop songs. And
Yeah.
there's some other people online that do that really, really well. And it wasn't a space that I really felt like I wanted to be in. I tried to make a couple songs. Like I made a song about like crossing the street safely and like how to brush your teeth. And it just felt like Sesame Street.
It's a tough mindset to get into, right? Like
Well,
yeah.
well, then what really kind of steered me away from that though was I asked myself because I made like 4 or 5 songs and I showed them to my wife and I'm like, yeah, they sound cool, but I was like, these songs, am I making these songs for the kids or am I making these songs for the parents? And I realized I am making these songs for the parents because kids don't have, I mean, kids that age don't have social media, and they're
Mm.
certainly not going to be like, oh, I want Dad Got Bars on Spotify or whatever. Like it was, because it wasn't like preschool enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't like Miss Rachel. So I was kind of at a crossroads, and I was like, well, since I already feel like I am making the music for the parents, I might as well just dive into like parenting. It's
Mm.
still talking about kids, it's still talking about being a father, but I'm not making the music for the kids. I'm definitely 1,000% making the music for the parents.
Mm.
And so when I made that shift, is when it really started to kind of hit me, and we talked offline for a second
Yeah.
about like, oh, you surround yourself with enough people that you think are really good dads. I mean, yeah, I mean, you went as far as creating a whole brand, and so did I, right? We were like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
cool dads, and
Yeah.
like I did a whole song. The first song I ever put out was last summer for Father's Day, and it was called Millennial Dad, and it was just a song, like a love letter to millennial dads, because I have a ton of friends that are really good dads, that are really active, really engaged, really present in their kids' lives, and our dads just weren't quite that way. And
Mm.
so it was this like, oh, we're changing, men are evolving, we're doing so good. And it was like this altruistic, kind of like idealistic thought process of like, things are getting better. And then these dudes just start coming out of the woodwork and they start telling me like, get a job, you're a stay-at-home dad, be a man, just these really toxic things at me. And that's kind of how I started to reshape what I do. I started doing these like clapback raps where I would basically take their comment and like make a diss track back at them.
Dude, the
Um,
nails, the nail, that was the first one the nail polish one was the first one
yeah,
I found. And bro, that hit me so hard because I was sitting there like I had my toenails painted for so long, right? And the amount of shit that I would cop for
bro,
it. Yeah,
mine are
exactly.
painted right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, what? I don't, and the whole idea of like, oh, it's not masculine and stuff. I'm like, but being a good dad, that is the ultimate masculinity trait. There's no like, I don't care what another dude thinks of me as long as my daughter knows that I'm a good dad and I'm going to be here every 2 seconds. And the craziest thing was I was looking at comments on that and because I was like on the same path as you, I was like, hell yeah, dude, I love this. Like, it's so good. And then I was like, oh my God, there are people that don't do this. There are dudes out there, girl dads out there that say, oh, don't paint my nails. I can't have that. I can't have that at work. And you're like, what are you doing? Like,
But then you, on the other hand, other side of the coin, I get guys or women that are saying like, "Oh, my dad was a construction worker and he was like the foreman on the site, big 6'5", 260, like, but we would paint his nails and he would show up and he'd be like, anybody got anything to say?" You
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Like no
He
one's
knew
gonna
he
say.
was set. He knew he's like, no
And
one's going to mess with me.
dude, I'm not a big guy at all. But I don't. But like you said, I don't care. Like I'm not expecting to get into a fight over my fingernails, right? But some people, we had a friend over today, like a really good friend, and she was like, "Well, I'm not gonna paint my son's nails." He always asked me about like, "Oh, my nails." Like, I'm not painting his nails, and my wife was like, "Why?"
Yeah, he's a
And
kid.
she couldn't even articulate why she didn't want her son to paint his nails. It
Yeah,
was just this thing that's been ingrained in us of like, boys don't do that. Well, why don't boys do that?
yeah.
Boys haven't done that in the past, but why can't they? And I think I have this conversation a lot, where you kind of box boys and girls into, this thing where it's like, oh well, boys can't paint their nails or wear these kind of clothes or behave this kind of way. But then on the other hand, you do the same thing where they're like, well, girls don't do that.
Mm.
And it's just kind of like, I don't know. You're stifling creativity. You're kind of hindering their confidence by basically saying, "Oh, that thing that you want is not appropriate."
Yeah. And it just builds also that like I guess that self-consciousness of like, oh, well, what I'm doing is weird then. And then from like getting that from an early age of like you can't do that because that's weird if you did that. You're like, what are we doing? Like I
Yeah.
feel like we're putting so much, gender stereotypes on things as kids. Like I get it. If young boys grow up and they go, I don't want to paint my nails anymore, that's fair. That's something that'll happen in time. But like if they're just being creative, if they're just drawing, if they're just doing things as kids, like do we really want to shit on them from that early on, being like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
My own last summer, my cousin, or sorry, not my cousin, sorry, my nephew, so my sister's kid. My
Mm.
sisters used to dress me up as a girl all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like they'd put me in dresses, do my hair, put makeup on me, paint the nails, whatever. And I was like, whatever. They wanted to do it, and I didn't care. And so my sister painted her son's nails, and all the cousins were getting their nails painted.
Mm.
And I found out after the fact that he went home, and within minutes of stepping in the door, his dad was like, "Absolutely not, get that off right now."
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
my nephew's like, he was like 5 or 6 at the time, dude. Like he's a
Yeah.
kid, like a little kid, and he did like blue and black and yellow and green, and he was so proud of them. And I mean, imagine what that must feel like to be 5 or 6 years old and walk in the door and have something you think is so cool, and have your dad, this man who you look up to, who you
Your hero.
idolize, who
Your
you want
hero.
to be like, your
Yeah.
hero, yeah, right? Say, take that off right now. That's no. You're like, oh, I did something wrong.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know, man. I think there's this fear, and I think it's even like this subconscious thing, and it's not just America. It seems like it's in the whole
It's
world
it's everywhere, man.
where
Yeah.
like there's this fear of your kid like being gay or something.
Yeah,
You know what
or
I mean?
just
Where it's
even
like,
being feminine. Even like if
yeah,
your kid is slightly feminine, like everyone's like, or even in the Switch, if you got girls and they're slightly masculine, like in terms of the things they like, we seem to like panic like it's like a disorder or something, and we got to get rid of that. We got and you know that in itself, like being told from such a young age, like we said, like that you can't do something that, and you're so proud of something, or you're doing something that you really love. Like I just had a chat to, I literally just did a podcast before with a guy called Ned, and his daughter, like really loving AFL. Like AFL here is like our football here, and
Okay.
being like trying to like harness that, but also like, you know, on the flip side, like if your son likes ballet or something, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like why if they're interested in something, like let them like harness that interest no matter what it is, you know?
I think it comes down to, um, you know, especially in today's climate where there's like a lot of talk where like when we were growing up, there weren't really talks about transgender and people changing genders and gender fluidity and are you a boy, are you a girl, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a boy today? You want to be I think a lot of people kind of are like, this is new. This is weird. I don't want my kid to be one of those kids. So I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that they know that you are a boy and you are a girl. And they
Mm,
keep them, and more so than ever, I think it's like, I need my boy to know that he is a boy and he does boy things. And he does
mm.
sports and he does trucks and he does fast cars and all these things. And if you're a girl, you are feminine and dainty and you can't play boy sports and you can't, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I understand the fear a little bit because
Yeah,
it's this new
absolutely.
thing,
Yeah.
but and we want to protect our kids and we don't want and I had a conversation with a really great mom who's big in this kind of space the other day, and she was like, I think a lot of times people think they're protecting their kids by being like, okay, but if my kid is, let's say, gay or trans or just different, queer, whatever,
Mm,
um that their life is going to be more difficult. And I
mm.
think that is most likely true. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's more difficult than it would be if you were just like a heterosexual, normal, average, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think sometimes it might come from a good place of like, I want to protect my kid and make sure that they're not like weird or an outcast or picked on or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it just I think you're and that's where it's just like a difference in like in opinion, or like just like a big like theoretical or theological, excuse me, difference of like you're the born with it or you're not, and
Yeah,
people
yeah.
just don't agree on that.
Yeah, and as you said, like it is very new, all this sort of stuff. And I think there are obviously, you know, in America, like I think the way I sort of take it, like the way I explain it to when I talk to like people like Americans and stuff like that is Australia is very much like America, but we're not like, I mean, like a lot of the stuff that we consume is a lot of American stuff, like whether it's social media, things like that. So we have a really good idea of the climate of like America, but then I feel like we try to almost emulate it a little bit here. So, for example, our last election, right? Or our last, like, you know, election, blah, blah, blah. There was a distinct difference this time in the two parties, the two main parties. But in Australia, our parties aren't super different, right? But because of the American climate of politics, whether you're either one or the other, we almost made it that way. And these issues were really big standout issues when realistically both parties had very similar approaches to it, but we almost made the divide bigger because we were looking at, you know, how the stance is in America and stuff like that. So it's really interesting talking to someone who makes content in America and stuff like that around like this sort of topic as well.
Yeah, well, it's kind because it kind of is political.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told somebody not long ago. I was like, "Yeah, like I don't really like to get into politics," and he was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, your page is very much political," and I was like, "I don't intend it to be," and I will touch on. I don't know if the American political system is one that's worth being emulated.
It's funny, man. You guys are like our older brother. That's the way I look at it. Like you're
Yeah,
like our older brother. We're like, we want to be like them. And you know, sometimes you like get to a point where your older brother stuffs up and you're like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do everything our older
maybe
brother
he's
does
not
it.
perfect. Yeah, right. Yeah, I just sort of idolized him, and I never really saw him for what he was.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I never intended, but now I very much kind of lean into it, and I don't mean it to be political, but I think everything is just so hyper politicized these days.
Mm,
Whereas like and thankfully, um, I don't receive as much. backlash anymore because I think I've just the algorithms sort of figured out who my people are, and so it doesn't
Yeah,
show
exactly.
my
Exactly.
content to the wrong people. My following on all social media platforms is like 89% women. Like
Yeah.
it skews very heavily towards mothers, and I kind of realized that not long ago, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago. I realized that I set out to make music that would hopefully affect men and just show men that like, oh, like this is my version of being a good dad. This is my version of showing up, and this is how I interact with my daughter. And if somebody sees this and thinks like, oh man, I want to be a little bit more like him, or I really like what he does, like maybe I should try that. That's cool to me, right?
Mm.
But I realized that that is probably not how it's going to go. Like that's
Yeah.
probably, unfortunately, and women are primarily the decision makers. They are the ones that are out there actually buying things.
Mm.
They carry probably more influence and buying power, I would say, in a household than dad does. And
Yeah.
so, I kind of realized and men are just inherently like how we are. Like I think men are just like more ego driven, a little more
Stubborn. Very hard to.
yes,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
yeah, stubborn. It's like everything's like ego, everything is pride. And so I don't think a lot of men can probably look at my content and be like, oh man, I wish I could be more like that guy. They probably look at me and they think his wife probably wears the pants, or whatever. They, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whatever.
I know.
Like,
I
oh,
know what
look
you
at
mean,
him.
bro. I know what you
You know what I mean?
mean. Yeah.
It's like this negative. It's like if a guy calls himself a feminist. You know what I mean? You're gonna get women that are like, yes, thank you so much, thanks for being on our side, and then you get men that are like, no, dude, you're on our side.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying that yeah, I'm a man, and like I could, I played sports, and I've been in locker rooms, and I've been a part of guy groups and things where like off-color comments are made,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talk about jokes are made and things that you're like, yeah, we would never speak this way around women.
Yeah.
But I also have never really been that big into that.
Yeah. I
I've
feel you
always
exactly, man. I get exactly what you're talking about.
like I've got sisters. I have a daughter. I was raised by a single mom. Like I've been around women a lot in my life. I had a lot of
Mm.
like girlfriends.
And you have a good
Growing
perspective, man, because of that.
Yeah, and so like I think for me, I'm like, yeah, I can do all that. I can hang in the locker room and make fun jokes and like be one of the guys, go to bachelor parties. Like I can do that stuff for sure. I'm cool with that. But I can also acknowledge, especially and it's not just having a daughter, like I'm sure you can relate.
Mm.
I wish every man in the world could have a
Changes
daughter.
everything. Changes
And
every. I
it
was just
shouldn't.
about to say, literally, like I get the same knock when people are like, "Oh, well, you're probably just like more for feminism and stuff like that now because you have daughters." And you're like, "Yeah, of course I am because I now understand it. I see it with my eyes every single day. I see the differences." So I probably didn't know this before I had daughters, but now I have
Yeah.
daughters and I'm aware of it. And now I am like actively trying to do something to make it better. You know what I mean? And yes,
Well, I'm
if
like
that
so
means, yeah.
invested.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I'm, I'm
I have a proper investment now. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that it's hard because when like the in America when like the Me Too movement was happening,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of men were coming out and being like, "Oh, like I have a daughter, I have a mom, I have a wife, I have a sister," and they didn't realize again that was meant to be this like supportive comment, but a lot of women were like, "Do you need to have a wife, daughter, sister, cousin, grandma,
Exactly.
mom to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sympathize with us?" And some men do it, or that's just how a lot of humans work. Where it's like, if it hasn't happened to me, I don't really care.
The worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Yeah,
know. You can't be expected to think and feel a certain way if you haven't been, I guess, not affected by it, but experienced it firsthand. Like I had a situation not long ago. Actually it was a fair while ago where I was walking home because I live in like the city, so where I live there's like lots of bars and stuff like that. And I had a situation where I was walking home and this young girl, she was probably about 19, 20, was walking home and I had my headphones in because that's what I do when I walk home. I'm just like, I don't just listen to Lord of the Rings or something because I'm a huge nerd. But I heard this girl like calling out to me and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? And these two dudes were following her home from the bar. And like she jumped over my side and I ended up walking her home because, she was young, got to the door, said like, said to her dad, explained to her father what was going on. And the dad actually ended up like, being like, oh, like I need to give you something, blah, blah, blah. But that was the first time I've ever experienced it firsthand where creepy dudes were following a young girl home. And she was doing the same thing as I was. She was just walking from a bar to a house. It was about 10:30 at night. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe this. This is the first time. And I've never thought about it because you never see it. And now
You're
I'm
right.
just like, I'm always just like to my partner, I'm like, you catch an Uber home. I don't care how much it costs. Because as soon as I saw it, I'm now like, oh my God, that's gross. Because all same as the circles you hang around him, none of my friends would do that. But there are still men out there that are
Yeah.
fucked up, man. Honestly.
Yeah. I had something
Mm.
like very very similar. I mean, thankfully nobody was like in any danger, but like I first met my wife in 2017. Shortly after I met her, I had booked a trip to go to Cuba.
Mm.
And I asked her to come with me. She couldn't get the time off of work, so I went by myself. And it was the first time I'd ever traveled solo, with like to another country. And I loved it. It was incredible. I didn't have to ask anybody what they wanted to
Mm.
do. I was on my own time, my own itinerary. Like it was fantastic. So when I got back, I was like, babe, like you gotta go travel alone. It's the coolest thing ever. And she's like, yeah, I can't do that. And I was like, why? Was so naive, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, why can't you? I mean, I did it. Why can't you? She's like, because I'm a woman and it's not safe. And I was like, really? And she like had to like lay it out for me and be like, yeah, like women can't do that. And I guess there's like this naive sort of understanding of for men where you don't again you're not a woman, you've never been a woman, so you don't fully understand the female experience. But once
Mm.
you do, whether it be you get married, you have a daughter, whatever, when you fully understand the female experience in this world, you're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't last a day. Like I wouldn't wish that upon anybody to like, or like we go to the airport. My wife just has got like a hat and sunglasses and like baggy clothes on. I'm like, why are you dressed like you're hiding from the paparazzi when we go to the airport? She's like, because I just don't want men looking at me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so yeah, and that is something that, we never really deal with. Or when it happens to us, it's like how good is that? You know what I mean? Like we get it very
Yeah.
infrequently, whereas they are scrutinized all the time. And I think as you're a dad of a girl, I'm a dad of two girls, and I'm like very conscious of it now, like knowing even just the pathways and the steps. Like I call my daughters beautiful every single day as much as I can because I don't want them feeling like, I don't want them feeling like they've got me to call them beautiful every single day. They don't need some man, some boy telling them like I want when my daughters hear from another boy like, "Oh, you're so beautiful." She's like, "Yeah, my dad says that all the time." Like say something else
That,
that's
that,
going to
that
impress
that's
me.
just a cheap line.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a cheap
exactly.
line. It's not going to work. You better
It's not
come
gonna
harder
work.
than that.
Yeah, dude,
You better.
you gotta give me more than you're so beautiful. My dad said that to me 4 times a day, every single day of my life, and
Right.
yeah. So I think it's yeah, and I think it's so important. That's why these conversations, like, I really couldn't care less if people are like, oh, you're just pandering to this audience or what. No, no, no. This is what I genuinely feel, and I love that about you as well because all of you. So. For those who don't know, it's Still Bleeding, which is a new. Is it how new is that song for you?
It's about a month, not even a month yet, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you explain the concept of the song because I feel like you're gonna do it way better than I am. But I love this song in it, and it looks at so many different issues around childbirth as well, and I guess postnatal depression as well, which is something that a lot of men don't fully understand the extent of. As
No.
blokes, I say blokes, but that's a very Aussie term. But guys just tend to we don't understand the concept or a lot of it of what postnatal depression is. And I think having a voice like you, a guy who's, very talented and putting it in a song that's so catchy and easy to understand and just really powerful. I think it's so awesome for men to understand that through you as well. So do you want to just break it down what the song's about?
Yeah, so the song is called "Still Bleeding," and it's obviously a metaphor for kind of like the fourth trimester, which is obviously after she's had the baby, or in some cases didn't go home with the baby. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's still your hormones as a woman, your hormones are so out of whack, imbalanced, just fighting against you and not in your favor. And it's just it's a mental roller coaster. And my wife, we have two kids. My daughter's 4, and my wife just had a baby in January, a little baby boy. And
Congrats, brother.
after our son was born, thank you. After our son was born, she was like, I didn't have it with our first, but like I feel like I'm like depressed. Like I feel like I have like this postpartum depression. And I was like, okay, let's get a therapist, like maybe talk to the doctor, like maybe there's some medication you can get on. Like, and she, of course, she was very apprehensive. She didn't want to do any of that.
Mm.
She was cool with the therapist, but she was like, I really don't want to take medication. And I'm like, I've done some research. A little bit from what I've found is if you don't take the medication, your body is not just going to self-regulate. You're going to be dealing with this for years. And so she did get on some medication, started to make her feel a little bit better. She's doing a little better now, which is
That's
great, kind of
awesome.
getting back to her
Yeah.
normal self. But I just didn't realize. Like she was like, I don't know how to describe it. I just like don't want to get out of bed. I've had friends whose wives have been like, I don't even want to hold my baby, and I don't know why. And it's
Yeah.
like the truly the most heartbreaking thing about it is like you just became a mom, maybe even a mom for the first time, and it's supposed to be the greatest moment of your life,
So
and
many
it's the greatest.
expectations.
Yeah, like and we build it up,
Mm.
right? And it's supposed to be this potentially even once in a lifetime experience for you, and you are just like feeling down and sad and depressed, or you're not excited about it. You can't even look at your baby.
Mm.
Some women get postpartum psychosis where they're thinking like, I want to drive my car off a bridge
Which
with my
is
baby.
crazy. Yeah.
Dude, and it's just it's all up here, man. It's
Mm.
all and it's and I'd be honest with you, I didn't get into a lot of the research as to like why and how and like do other cultures does it affect women less or differently or whatever, and I would like to get into that more, but I decided I wanted to write a song. My wife had a great idea back in April because we had a C-section with our son.
Mm.
She was like, April is C-section awareness month, you should write a song about C-sections. And so I wrote this like super honest um, story of like from my perspective of like watching from the other side of that blue sheet and like
Yeah.
looking over and seeing like organs like out of her on the
Which,
table and
as
like,
someone, so my partner Kia had two C-sections, and so for me, it was like I was just like, oh yeah, this guy gets it.
dude, well that was the first time I'd ever my first kid was a vaginal birth.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're in the room and neither one of us know what to expect. I didn't know the first thing about C-sections, dude. I really
Mm.
didn't, because I was just like, they cut you open and they take the baby. I didn't realize that there were 7 layers they cut through, that they did take organs out to make room to get the baby out and then put
Literally,
her back
yeah.
in. I didn't know that the recovery process was just absolutely brutal. Um, and so I did. I wrote a song about C-sections.
Is it called
And
seven layers? Is
seven
that,
layers,
yeah, that's the one I
seven
heard.
layers.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I wrote that one in the music video. I recreated. I took a picture of my wife in the operating room,
Yeah.
like laying on the table, and I kind of recreated
It
that
was
scene
awesome,
in the
dude.
video
I thought it
where
was really cool.
I was laying on the table and like doing the whole thing and like talking about what it looked like for me to watch this happen. You know
I knew
how
you had a
scary it was.
background. I knew you had a background in acting. When I saw the way you presented that, I was like, God, this dude knows what he's doing. He knows what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. We gotta tell the story in a
Yeah.
clever way, you know. And so when I did that, that one really, really popped off. Like
Mm.
that
That's the
one
first one
went
I
pretty.
heard, I think. And then I heard the
Yeah,
nails one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one went pretty viral, and I saw, and again, like it's so cool. Social media is so cool because you literally get feedback in real time where you can
Mm.
just like post it, and then you can kind of just keep checking and like, do people like it? What do they like about it? Who are the people that are commenting? What are they saying?
It's
And it
addictive,
was
eh?
mostly women
Yeah, yeah.
who had C-sections, who have felt less than, felt or someone has told them in the past that like, oh, you're not a real mom because you didn't actually give birth, or what it's just this crazy like
Insane, hey.
hatred towards women from women. It just doesn't ever make sense to me.
Yeah.
um and so I'm like seeing like these reactions, and I'm like, I think I may have tapped into something where women want to hear this kind of perspective from a man, and I didn't realize how unique that was.
Yeah, feeling
Where,
seen from the opposite
dude,
gender is
that's
huge. It's huge.
that's the comment.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
comment that gets me every time, and I
Hmm.
can't even tell you if there were 5,000 comments on that video, I feel seen or I feel heard were half of them.
Yeah, and especially like
And
I said, coming from a man too is huge. Not that they need that, like, not that they need that, like, oh, a man finally came out and said this, but just knowing that there's someone that understands and is willing to make something that is going to help other people understand that through a different medium that isn't like just someone chatting about it, you know?
yeah, and I think when you live in this world of like when you're not in that world, I think it does mean something to these women when they say, oh my gosh, like I can't believe a man wrote this, or
Mm.
like, wow, finally like a man understands. And I'm like, you can't tell me that I'm the first person to outwardly speak
Yeah.
like this. And
First man on the
again,
moon.
maybe I'm right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm one of the first ones to do it in this kind of medium where it's
Mm.
like hip hop music. But then the next song, so it's kind of like long-winded answer to sort of your question about
Yeah.
the follow-up song to that was Still Bleeding. And the like the hook of that song is like, mama took the baby home but she's still grieving,
Mm.
limping to the crib in the night to see if he's still breathing. You know what I mean? Like it's all about a mom's first days back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like mom had the baby, she's home. Now what the hell do I do? And
Yeah.
why am I feeling this way? Why am I crying on the bathroom floor? Why can't I get out of bed? Why is everyone in the family looking at me like I'm freaking crazy? Everyone whispering like, why is mom in a bad mood all the time? It's
Mm.
like, and these women are like, that's the one, dude. I literally posted the video, um, and it got a really great response. And so then I took and screenshotted a bunch of like the really like the nicest comments, where it was like the ones that really touched me, that were like, oh my God, I feel seen, or thank you so much for writing this. I never thought I'd hear a man speak this way, or whatever. And
Mm.
I posted that video like the next day. So it's the same video, just one has some beautiful comments on it. And yeah, today they like both went over like a million
I saw
views.
both at a million, man. That's great. That must feel so good for you, like
To
knowing
reach
that,
that many people,
yeah.
man,
And
like
just something that you're so passionate about too. Like I know, and this is probably different in the same way. I remember when like I had one of my videos go viral, and that's what started everything. That it started when I went from like, 400 followers, no one listening, to like 10,000 followers and a whole bunch of downloads, and then it just grew from there. And then to be like, oh, holy shit, like I'm doing something that I love so much and people are recognizing it. And,
yeah.
like I said, the haters will come. They're always there. People that are just mad, they're just always like, man, like, you'll never cop hate from someone doing well. You know what I mean? That's why I keep telling myself.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but even that, even getting to a point where, and you could probably be the same as this, where like the haters come now and you're just like, yeah, come at me. I don't give a shit. I grew up in
Well,
I grew up in COD lobbies when I was 14. You think you're gonna break me? Like,
but you know what's cool though is I have realized, and I used to collaborate with Justin Baldoni. He had a podcast, and he's in this big legal dispute with Blake Lively right now.
yeah, I know, I
So
know all about that, and
so his
yeah,
podcast is kind of completely shut down, but I was partnering with his company and doing some songs with them, kind of the same, because their whole thing was like feminist movement and that whole deal.
yeah,
And I was talking to the woman that managed their social media, and she's the person that I kind of worked with the most. And she said, you know, we don't even respond to those negative comments anymore
Mm.
because we've built such a strong community that they handle it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
then you
They'll come
don't,
back and clap back. Yeah,
and
that's so
and bro,
true.
they do. They
Yeah.
do, man. I've got this community of mostly women that if some dude comes in there and starts spewing some toxic BS, they shut it down before I even have to say it. I mean, I don't got to say anything. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
go on, I'm
yeah.
like, oh man, there's like 50 replies to this dude's comment, all from followers that are like, shut up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
which is
And so,
and that's such a good point, man. Like community is everything. I say that to like anyone who's starting in social media. I'm always like, followers don't mean anything. It's all about the community that you keep. Like the community that you keep.
right.
Like I'm very happy in the community that I've built with, just not just dads, but mom, just people who really care about being parents. Like it's something in their life that they love doing, right? And we have such a cool community, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that, that like I'm not even worried about the follower number anymore. Like, I don't care because I just know I have such a good group of people that when, like you said, when somebody comes in and starts talking trash, I've got like good listeners and community that go in like say like, no, 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 you don't even understand, man. Like, you don't get this.
Well, and like the followers is kind of an ego stroke.
It is, man, for sure.
And I think the more, when you've got a product like a podcast where you're like, okay,
Mm.
yeah, follow me, that's cool, but more importantly, like go check out the podcast or download
Yeah.
it or listen because that's where the real talk's happening.
Mm, mm.
For me is the same way. It's like, yeah, you follow me and check the stuff out, but like go over to YouTube and like and see some of the deep dives that my wife and I are doing a podcast now too,
Hell
where we
yeah,
talk.
man.
We're talking, together about our parenting journey and kind of like reacting to some videos that are viral online about
Dude, I
parenting, whether
love
it's
that,
good or
man. I
bad.
love that. Me and my partner we do it like once every sort of, I guess, 10 weeks. We do the parental debrief where we just go through
Okay.
challenges that we've had. And mate, it's even just for us, like you'll probably experience this too, just for us to be able to sit down and chat things through. Like I know it's on a public forum and stuff like that, but it's so good to sort of get perspectives from the other partner as well. So I think that's that. Do you have a name for the podcast?
Right now it's because I go by Dad Got Bars.
Yeah.
The podcast is going to be Raising the Bar.
Oh, hell yes, man. I love that. I love that, dude. Yeah. So
Yeah, dude. So we literally just bought a couple of like these beanbag chairs. It's gonna
let's
be really
go.
this is my studio office space. We're turning it into a really cool kind of podcast deal, and
Oh man,
and,
that's
and I think
unreal.
I think we don't have a perfect relationship by any means, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same
Exactly
way.
the
But we
same.
also
Yep.
have a really healthy relationship, my
Yep.
wife and I, and so and it's rooted in like just respect for each other. Like
Mm.
there's things that we're different in certain ways, very similar in other ways. When I first met my wife, I was like, we had been dating for like maybe even weeks or months, and we were already talking about like how if we had kids, like how would you go? And I realized really quickly like, oh, we would parent very similarly,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's really important. I have some friends who just kind of don't see eye to eye on like big issues, whether it be
Mm.
like political issues or religious issues or like the big staples. That you're like these are hard ones. Like I'm probably not going to change my mind about these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my wife and I had always seen eye to eye. And again, we both agreed to like we don't yell at each other, we don't cuss at each other, we don't raise our voice in the house, we don't belittle, name call, all that. We
Mm.
just have
Just
respect. Yeah, we
yeah,
have.
exactly. It's like it's those things are such common sense things, but tend to get lost sometimes. You know what I mean? Like where things get heated, and I've had me and my partner have had like arguments and stuff like that, but we immediately are like, okay, whatever's going on, we need to sort that out because we cannot do that in front of the girls. Like,
No, no.
but you know what I mean? But we also have parameters around like things that I would never do and things she would never do as well. And I think those set in stone are very important as well for like and especially like like I said, you've got both worlds. So like you're trying to work out what can I like I'm an example of what my daughter should expect from a male, but I'm also an example of what my son should be like as a male. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, it's
Yeah,
like I know that I am the representative of the male population in terms of relationships with my daughters. Like if I'm doing anything that's questionable, like they're going to see that as being like acceptable. And I'm like, would I be happy with a guy treating my daughter that way? And so I'm always like, no, no, I have to be the best I could possibly be with communication, mental health. Like the list goes on all the things you have to be on top of. And it's a lot of pressure, you know? It's a lot of
Yeah,
pressure.
I mean, even little things like making sure, like, if you guys are having dinner and, your wife, or your partner, your spouse, whoever, um comes and brings you a plate,
Mm.
and you might be cutting your daughter's food and busy, but even just remembering to out loud and intentionally tell her thank you.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
It's a little thing, but it's like, you just made me a plate. You literally nourished me.
Mm.
Like, that deserves, at the very least, a thank you. Maybe even a kiss. Maybe even, like
Yeah.
something to
Some sort
show
of
my
like
daughter.
gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't ever want my daughter to think like, oh yeah, I'm the king of the house and mom serves me and I just sit back and I'm like, yeah, wash my. No, like, we don't. That's not how we do things in this house, and that's
Yeah.
not how I expect her to think she should be treated by a man in the future. And I want my daughter, and my son. My son's 5 months old, so like I have a feeling like pretty soon, in the next, like, probably like 6 months, my content's going to be changing a little more towards like, all right, how are we going to raise these boys right? You know what I mean?
Which is the
Um,
best thing about content, especially in the fatherhood of parenting space, because the content, the journey, everything changes as your phase of life changes. You know what I mean? Like I even notice
yeah,
the stuff I used to talk about was so newborny stuff, whereas now I'm
yeah,
talking about like toddler, almost school age sort of stuff, and like you can see the transition if you go back through my content. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting for you when you go back through everything. You're like, oh wow, like I've really pivoted here, or this is a little bit different now, or yeah, it's really it's actually really exciting. I don't know if you find it the same, but it is exciting. It feels like there's no
it is
end to it.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we kind of, and when my daughter was my son's age, when my daughter was like a few months old, I wasn't doing this. I only
Mm.
started this like a year ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
It's blown off
I
so
I
quick,
get,
man.
dude, I know. Well, I don't know what's going on. Like, I gained like 10,000 followers in the last like 2 days or something.
Bro,
It's really.
so sick. I've been watching
Well,
your follower count go up. It's so mad. I get
when
so
you
excited.
I think when you get, like, I don't know, again, I'm not an expert when it comes to this stuff, but when you get on the algorithm, you got a couple videos that are just kind of popping. It's like they just sort of realize, like, oh, people are into this. We're gonna start feeding this out to like the masses now,
Yep, yep.
which is cool. And it goes back to the whole idea of like, it is nice to feel like a sense of acknowledgement of all your hard work. Because, dude,
Mm.
I could be that influencer who takes a picture with a product and it's just like, here you go, and post it on Instagram, and like they paid me money for it, whatever. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm going to dive into a topic that needs to be discussed, do my research, find a beat, find the right words, say them in the right way. A lot of work goes into making a song, even if it
Mm.
is a 2-minute song. A lot of work goes into that. And so, when you put in that much work, and dude, I have people all the time, especially people that know me, they're like, dude, where do you find the time to do this? Like, how do you put out like a couple songs a week sometimes? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Literally, man. Yep.
I just have the idea, and then I'm like, once the idea is in my brain, I gotta get it
It's
out.
just
And
relentless
especially,
obsession. That's me. I am
yeah,
obsessed with this. Like, and I say to people when people are like, I want to do social media, and I'm like, that's cool. Um, are you obsessed with this? Are you willing to stay up till 1 a.m. and then get up at 5 a.m. to do this? Like, because that's what it takes. Like, it doesn't take building a following, building a community is so hard. And I see so many people come and go, be like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, are you going to do it? You got to go everything in. You got to go all in.
I was given that advice early too. They were like, you should be prepared to like post every single day.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, and it's going to become a chore, and I've gotten to that point a couple times, and then I give myself grace, and I'm like, I don't gotta post every single day. I just gotta post some really good stuff
That's it.
a couple times a week. And I see these like people that are trying to prey on, like, oh, do you want to get more followers fast, take my course, or
Oh,
like, there's
dude,
no
the
course.
course. Oh, man, the
But
courses piss me
there's
off
no
so much.
there's no course
Yeah,
that's
there's
going to
no
help you.
course.
build a
Yeah.
following. Like, and I thought about that too. I'm like, I saw somebody, the ad was like, like the little notification on Instagram where it's like the little red deal and it says how many, when you open it up, right? How many
Yep. Yep.
comments, how many shares, how many follows, whatever. And it was like 2 comments, 2 shares, 3 follows. It was like, turn this into this. It was like 100 comments, 105. And I'm like, the only way to turn a low engagement into a high engagement is to make good shit. It's the
Yeah, that's
only way to
literally
do
it.
it.
There's two ways to do it. There's make good stuff or make people
It's,
angry. Make people
yeah, that
angry.
too.
And like the
Yeah.
thing is, I've been around long enough to know that those people that rage bait, the people that get people angry for engagement, never last. They are because they build followers with no community. And the thing is, people don't
Right.
realize community is so much bigger than followers. Like if you have people, if you have 1,000 people that are willing to go all in on your products, that is worth way more than having 100,000 followers that just like your stuff. Big time.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think there's this, especially in music right now, there's this
Mm.
big push towards like direct to consumer. So a
Mm.
lot of these like artists, especially independent artists or artists that were with big labels that have decided to go independent, are are selling like CDs,
Mm.
selling vinyl records, selling or just merch or whatever. Anything they can do to sell directly to their to their fans, right?
Yeah,
Their
exactly.
followers, whoever. I've got like 60,000 followers on Instagram, and I would say there's probably anywhere between like 2,000 and two or that's a lot, but let's say 2,000
Yeah.
people that I think are like ride or die, like will share it, will comment,
Yeah,
would
I've got
buy
the
something,
same, man, and
and I'm
it
not
means
selling.
so much.
Yeah, and I'm not selling anything. Like, like go stream my music, go check
Mm.
out the YouTube channel. I don't have anything to sell right now. If I feel like if I can find something that I think would be of value to people that they might
Mm.
like, sure, I might throw drop a hat, drop a whatever. But I'm not here to like sell you. I'm here to, like you said, build a community. And I think it is strange. It's hard to describe, and like I want to go to like brands or go to whoever, like
Mm.
these decision makers that could change my life, or like you go to them and they could change your life, whether it be a sponsorship or
Yeah.
whoever, and be like, listen, I don't have 5 million followers, no, but I have a group of people that really, really likes what I'm doing, and like really strongly believes that what like when I get there's this phrase that I've been getting for the last year, and it's the thing that keeps me going. Ironically, the 2 words are keep going. I
Yeah.
get this message, whether it be a random text from somebody that I know that has seen my stuff and just literally text me like, "Hey man, I've been seeing your stuff and like you're killing it. Keep going." Or it's just a random complete stranger who sends me a DM and is like, "Keep going." And I don't know what it is, but it's like I need that.
Oh, dude,
I
I was just about to say, I get this same, and it may be on a day that you're feeling like, those days where you're like, it's a chore. I don't really want to post today. And then you'll be, so I wouldn't say you're like down on your own content, but you think like to yourself, like, am I really helping people? And you get that
yeah.
one message or you get that one. I got an email the other day, an email from like a 40-year-old guy just saying, hey, man, you've really invigorated my love of parenting. And now I want to go and be a great grandfather to my, like this guy who he took the time out of his day to send me an email. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm on it. I'm doing the right thing. This is all I needed for me to go, hey, I'm doing the right thing. Like even today, like I was going through a little bit of a lull, spent the morning talking to another dad, now the afternoon talking to you. And I'm just like, it's like a rocket up my ass. Like now I'm just like, I'm just like, dude, like it's so cool seeing everyone doing this stuff. And it's like, it makes you so happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I love it when I've said it a few times like that most of my followers are women, and I understand because of the type of content that I make. But when I get a guy that sends me a message or an email or a comment or whatever, and it's like, hey man, I just became a dad like 2 months ago, and like I love your stuff, and I want to be the best dad I can be, and like you inspire me. I'm like, yeah, like dude, that is it. Or I get a woman that's like, and this is I don't encourage this actively, but every now and then I get a woman that's like, honestly, like I've been in a relationship for a really long time with somebody who doesn't value me and doesn't support me and doesn't pull his own weight, and like watching you has made me realize that I deserve better.
Yeah, which
And
is
and again, I'm
everyone
not here to
deserves that.
break up. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not here to
no.
break up relationships, but I think that's also kind of a win. If I can
Mm.
see a woman can watch. Not I'm not. She's not leaving her husband to come to try to be
Yeah.
with me, but she's like. I think there's this. Because I did, dude. I had that thought when I was like in my early 20s. I was or like mid 20s. I got married,
Yeah.
and we got divorced like 2 years after we got married because she wasn't the right person for me.
Mm.
And I remember being married and traveling back to Chicago to visit my sister and her family. And I remember watching my sister with her husband and how she was as a mother. And I was like, I I want a wife like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I was like I love the way that my sister um, treats her husband. I love the way she treats her kids. I'm like I'm inspired, and I'm like I don't have that.
Mm.
And again, it was like it was one of those like it was just her being herself. But I was like I need to find somebody more like that.
Mm.
And I did, and I've been married to my wife now for 6 years,
That's awesome,
and
man.
yeah, we've got two beautiful kids, and I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be more grateful to be in the position that I'm in, and she's my like big inspiration for a lot of these songs. But then like my kids, like I told my wife the other day, I was like, how amazing is it that because I just been feeling lately, and again, part of it is just like this is this like perceived kind of success that I feel like like the follower count's going up, the engagement's really good. I'm getting these really sweet messages from people. Like I feel inspired to create and make things. I'm like something really really good is coming. Like I can
Yeah.
feel it. It's like
I got
right around the corner,
yes, dude. I feel that.
and
Hey, how good is that feeling though? How good
it's the
is that?
best. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
because you're like I'm doing something right, and
You
I
feel like
know
you're
that
walking on clouds, like
yeah, you're like I
everywhere.
can't.
It's like, yeah,
I, and not even trying to be cocky, but you're like, I can't miss right now. Like
yeah.
I literally, I'm like in the zone.
Flow
And
state.
I told, yeah, 100%. And I
Yeah.
told my wife, I was like, how cool is it that someday when who knows what the future looks like in terms of where are we living, what's our house like, what kind of cars are we driving, like what private schools do our kids go to, like whatever the case is, right? And I'm like, how cool is it that I get to tell our kids like, you guys started this whole thing.
Yeah. That's I feel that, bro. I feel
Like you made me a
yeah.
dad
And you know
and
what's
made me transition into this whole world.
yeah, and you know what's I think one thing that and you may have heard about this or maybe you're not. See, one thing I and my partner and I talk about this all the time, okay? Have you ever heard of tall poppy syndrome?
No.
Okay, so tall poppy syndrome is a big thing in Australia, right? And America, you guys don't have it. Like you don't have it. It's insane. Like you guys, if someone is doing well, people love it. People, I don't know what it is about the American culture is people love to see other people doing well. Like in Australia, they don't. It's like as soon as you're doing something that's different, or as soon as you're doing something that might be perceived as something better than others, you're looked at as like you're too good. Oh, look at this person, he's cocky. Oh, he's too like that. And I
Really?
don't, mate. It is a serious problem, and we deal with it because I'm a teacher. We deal with it at school. Like in America, you guys are like big ideas, go for it, take the risk, take the chance, like all that sort of stuff. And everyone's always so about it. In Australia, if you decide to do something that's a little bit different, people go, "Oh, I don't think you should do that." Oh, people might see that as doing this. Or so we have a big problem with people becoming successful because of social media and things like that, and people like almost shitting on them. And it's crazy. It makes and I tell like I have got a lot of I've interviewed a lot of Americans. I've interviewed a lot of like Europeans, and we're like the only country that's like that. It's insane. You know what I mean?
Do you guys not have like a lot of celebrities?
I think it might be that. And our celebrities are very like ingrained in television and like it's very like you're almost, it sounds bad and this might get looked at as, but you're almost forced to like people because of the media, right? Whereas you guys have a lot of choice over who you
Hmm.
like, and but you're also like pioneers for a lot of things. And so like,
Yeah.
seeing you like that, like automatically when things started going well, you probably never even thought about like, oh, do you reckon, I wonder if my friends will like think I'm a bit of a dick now because I'm doing well. Like you would have just gone, oh, your friends would have been pumped, right? Whereas for
Yeah.
us, we're like, oh, maybe my friends are going to think I'm better than them. Maybe. And it's the most ridiculous. Like, it holds people back so much. And it is something that is inherently Australian. It doesn't make any
So
sense.
weird. Yeah, I definitely definitely had the thought of um and I got the advice early on. They were like, if you're doing something different or you're doing something that maybe people didn't expect or maybe people in your own family didn't even know that you made rap music, let's
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
right? Because it is kind of strange. Like I know I understand that I'm probably perceived as like a little bit of a fish out of water, like
Mm,
clean cut, straight laced white guy making rap music, right?
mm.
And so it's probably a little bit like, oh, you make, for people ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'm a rapper. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, but I rap about like parenting and fatherhood and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I know that there's probably people who look at me and look at what I do who know me again and probably have that mentality of like, whether it be jealousy or whether it be just judgmental, whatever.
Mm.
And someone told me early on, they were like, don't, um, this isn't for your friends and family,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
if you get big.
Yeah,
You know what I
this is
mean?
for
If you
you.
get big, you start doing this is not for your friends and family. This is
Mm.
for people who really, for lack of a better term, really fuck with you. Like
Yeah,
this is for people that
exactly.
really, really like what you're doing, and they don't know you. They didn't go to high school with you, so they don't remember that old version. All they know is the guy that they saw in that video, and they think, "Oh man, I like that guy," or "Oh,
Yeah,
that song was cool," you
yeah.
know. And so, and a long-winded kind of thing I'll go back to is I started out hoping to make a difference with men, and I realized because of the pride and the ego thing that might not happen as fast as I wanted it to.
Mm,
But what I've realized is I've become this ally for women, and
mm.
I've become this voice of like not all men are this way,
Yeah,
and there are still good men out there who do see you, who see your struggle. And I've only recently, because my wife has had kids and now I'm become a parent, I've only realized the female experience and how hard that can be at times, and what postpartum depression really even is.
mm.
What goes into a C-section. I think a lot of men just lack empathy for women when it comes to these things because they themselves have never had to deal with it. And
Yeah.
so I think even my wife is like, you've changed in the last year so much. And I'm like, because I have to talk, like I have to walk the walk if I'm going to talk the talk, right? I'm out
Absolutely.
here talking, and I'm not trying to pretend like I'm perfect, but I'm out here saying like, oh, I support women and we got to be better men and don't raise your voice at your kids and all these things. If I'm going to say that online, I know that my wife follows me.
Mm.
And so there's
Yep.
like this level of
I get the
accountability where,
same.
like, dude, if I'm going to talk it, I got to walk it because I will feel like the biggest phony. And so I think a lot of times I do talk it, and sometimes I'm just saying the right thing. Sometimes
Mm.
I'm like, I know this is the right thing to say, and so I'm gonna put that line in that song, even though I'm not perfect. And sometimes but I'm like, I did a line about like, this generation of dads, we don't raise our, I don't raise my voice to my kid, or I don't yell at my kid, right? So I just said that out loud to however many people heard it.
Mm.
But I know my wife heard it because I showed her the song and she follows me. And so, like, my wife now just heard me say, I don't yell at my kids. So you better not yell at your
Yeah.
at your kids, right? So
So
now
true, man. You got receipts
like
now.
my daughter
Receipts.
starts to like, yeah, dude, anytime my daughter starts to like get on my nerves or like or she's not listening, whatever, I'm like, dude, I can't raise my voice because I just said that I don't raise my voice. So
Yeah.
it's made me a
Accountable.
better dude, it's made me such a better dad because I'm
Yeah.
like, it almost is like this weird like accountability system where I'm like, well, if I just say it, and put it out onto the internet, then I have to be that guy.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah,
so like
man.
it's not a persona. It's not and it's sad because a lot of these people that we idolize that are these like influencers or personalities or whatever, and then they get exposed, and you're like, oh, that dude's a criminal, that dude's a creep, that dude's a pervert, that dude's a whatever, and
And
you're
it's
like,
happening
damn,
so often. So often you
and
get
I
to the
just,
point where like you idolize these
yeah,
people and you're like, shit, another one.
I even did a podcast with a guy, like a
Yeah.
like a 5 episode series with a
Yeah.
dude, and then it came out that he was like a pathological liar. Just like everything he said was fake. His name wasn't
Mm-hmm.
real, like nothing. And I
That's
was like,
crazy.
what?
Then it makes you question everything, right? Like once those moments happen, you start to almost put like a bit of a wall up where you're like, hang on, these people that I really idolized and valued, like there's nothing worse than hearing that or seeing that, or something comes out and you're just like, everything that I thought, every bit of advice was all just fabricated. And I think we're getting to a time now as like a society where at the end of the day, something always comes out. Like someone will, if you are not who you say you are, people will find out.
They'll find it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
internet, you can't hide. You
You
used to
can't
be
hide,
able to
man.
hide.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know if anybody was truly surprised when like the Harvey Weinstein stuff came out. You're like, you
Mm.
look at them and you hear stories, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah, yeah.
like, and I still don't fully know where the truth actually is with this whole like Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing.
Mm.
But that was a big one too for a lot of women. They were like, wait a second,
Yeah.
he was like our savior.
Yeah.
He was our messiah. Everyone like he was the feminist. He was the guy.
Mm.
And then you're like, oh, him too, huh? And like, I've yet to make a decision on that one because I had a working relationship with them, and I want to believe that he's not who she's making him out to be.
It's a very hard one. And I think the big one that I think for him is, I'm pretty sure like Rogan came out and went against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And like I'm a massive Deadpool fan. Like Ryan Reynolds to me was like, just he was funny, he was cool. Like obviously you don't know him, but you're just like, this guy's
Yeah,
awesome, like Wrexham, all that sort of stuff. And then you almost like hoping that the stuff isn't true, but then you're like,
yeah.
even on the flip, so it's like the both ways situation. You're sitting there like, what is going, like it's so hard to find out where the truth lies. And I think that is
I
the
know
hardest thing.
you see some of those like some of the stuff that they posted about like some of the behind the scenes stuff from that
Mm.
movie, and you watch how like she was like flirting with him, and again they were acting,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
if he was that awful and vile of a person and you really felt that way, like when they yelled cut, you'd be like, I'm not talking, like, get
yeah,
away from me.
yeah, yeah,
It didn't seem that way, and so I'm not sure what she stood to gain by like filing the suit against him and stuff.
yeah. It's weird,
I don't
man.
know. And then it just made her and Ryan Reynolds kind of look like bullies, and
Yeah.
it's just weird. But like all that to say, that's not a situation that I ever want to be involved in.
No,
Is trying
no.
is be like this because he dude Justin Baldoni within hours, the court of public opinion has spoken. It was like, oh, he's a piece of shit. Like
Mm.
cancel him too. Like everything he said was a lie, and you're like, that was a little fast, like a little quick
Yeah,
to like
man. Yeah.
shut somebody down. You know what I mean? So I just don't. I don't ever want. Long story short, I don't ever want to put a persona or a facade on.
Mm.
I will put things out to like it's like being like I'm gonna lose 20 pounds,
Mm.
and you tell everybody I'm losing 20 pounds, and then the next day you're out to dinner and you're eating ice cream and cake and French fries and shit, and everyone's looking at you funny like, didn't you just say that you were going on this diet? Yeah, I'm gonna start next week, and you
Yeah.
just look kind of like a fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other side, it might help if someone's like, dude, I'm losing 20 pounds. And I'm saying it out loud because now when we do go out to dinner, I'll feel like a fool if I order ice cream in front of
Yeah. I
everybody.
got to be
So
accountable now. Yeah.
so I'm going to just say it. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Staying
I,
in staying in your lane, man. Putting stuff out there. That I think that's the best way to be, man. When you're locked in for yourself and you're not trying, like one thing I like about, just speaking to you, I know that you're not in this for personal gain. Like, you know what I mean? You know very quickly when you're talking to someone, especially for like a long time, that they're not in it for personal gain. Like this is something that they really care about too. And I think when you have that real care factor, that's when people know that people can see through when you're not fully about it, right? And I think that's the important thing. And I think the fact that you're doing it for the right reasons, I think it like when you do it for the right reasons, you're way less likely to get caught up in all that bullshit, you know?
100%. And like, and how cool is it that for both of us, right?
Mm.
Where you are kind of building this like it's almost like a scrapbook, right? Where
Yeah.
like social media is so interesting. And who knows like what happens when a social media site ceases to exist? Because the only one really that any of us could compare it to is like MySpace,
Yeah, when
um,
that died. Yep.
where it like died, and all of
Or
a
even
sudden you're like,
Bebo.
oh man, all those photos and all those friendships and all that HTML that I learned how to, you
Yeah,
know,
all the
and
coding, the Python stuff.
yeah, right. And so you're like, but since then, like it's never like Facebook's been around since like '04 or something like that, and it just hasn't. If you had a Facebook back then, like every picture you've ever posted is still there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's kind of cool. And like I feel like with my Instagram and my social, what I'm doing with this is like someday my kids will be old enough, and I'm sure. And if it does go, I keep every video, every song is on a hard drive, right?
Yeah, I'm
And
the same with
so
podcasts, man. It's just in
yeah, right.
case,
And so,
yeah.
like, dude, someday my daughter and my son will get to an age where they're old enough to understand like what dad was doing,
Mm,
and they're gonna be like, and especially my daughter, because a lot of the music I make is geared towards supporting women and supporting mothers and stuff like that.
mm.
And I think that someday she's gonna get to see that and be like, wow, like my dad my dad was a good guy. My dad tried really hard to like be a good man and like support women and use his voice to like talk about issues that people just don't talk about. And that it blows my mind. Like on the Still Bleeding song, right? The postpartum depression song. I had so many women that were like, oh my gosh, like this is the first time I've heard a man speak like this. And I'm like,
Mm.
there's no way that I'm the first person. It's just, there's no way. But if I am, what an honor to
Yeah.
like be one of the first people to like on the ground floor to be like, let's speak out loudly about this
Mm.
and in a creative, kind of clever way. And then, so I was like, dude, I want to keep doing it. And so like, I have another song coming out probably in the next like 10 days. I've got to shoot the music video still.
Yeah.
Um, this next one I just wrote and just wrapped it up yesterday, and I played it for my wife, and she was like, oh damn, that's really good.
Is this a cool dad one?
So this is not actually,
Oh,
so I have two. Yeah,
jeez,
I've
man,
got
you're a
two to plug
machine.
real quick. I've got two to plug.
Oh, hell yeah. I
So
was just about to actually go into this because I was going to say, like, you've got some stuff coming out and I wanted to know about it. But yeah, go for it, man. I want to hear it.
yeah, so this one that's probably going to be out in the next like 10 days or so is called 6 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
And so here in America, our maternity leave is awful.
Yes.
It
So
is
is 6 weeks
terrible.
all they get?
So 12 weeks is the federal it's like federally mandated like that a female I believe is owed 12 weeks.
Yep.
It's unpaid.
Yeah.
0%
That's
pay.
that's crazy.
A lot of jobs. So get this. And again, I source most of my content and most of my research that is done for these songs. I source it straight from the freaking comment section,
Yeah,
dude. I
yeah.
just literally go to the comments. I'm like, what are these women saying? And
Mm.
or I'll just ask straight up, like, hey, what's your experience been like with maternity leave? And the two things that stood out to me the most are nurses and teachers.
Mm.
Two of arguably the most important professions in all of the world. And they both get 6 weeks.
That is
6 weeks.
insane.
And if you want
That's
any more than
wild.
that, if you want any more than that, you've got to start digging into your sick days, your vacation days. So now you
Far
don't
out.
now you can't even call in sick
Yeah.
because you used up all your days trying to recover from having a baby.
That's
And so
crazy. So in Australia, you get as a teacher, and I didn't know this because I am a teacher, you get 6 months full pay
whoa,
or 12
what?
months or 12 months at half pay.
What?
Yes, six, like literally a
That is
dad, and
insane.
the paternal leave is a little, you can do 10 days. uh half pay or 1 week. So they get one we're now on the like we need to start pushing for like the paternal leave situation, and it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting close, but in comparison to like the States, like it's crazy how like I've heard stories about the States of like mums going back and just being like having to put their kids in daycare from like 6 weeks, which is
Bro.
crazy to me.
I've even heard women say that their job expected them back in less time than that, like
That's
4 weeks.
crazy, man. That is
And
wild.
so I wrote this song from a woman's perspective, where it's her first day back at
Mm,
work, and she's sitting in her van in the parking lot, and she does not want to get out of the car.
mm. That's
And
nuts, man. Yeah.
she's like, I'm not ready. Like my body is not recovered. My brain is all over the place. I'm biologically so deeply affected by not being with my child that and I've asked my wife, I'm like, is it like a physical thing, like where you truly feel like part of you is missing? She's like literally like those first like couple of months, like I needed him. I
Yeah.
needed him in my arms. Like if he wasn't with me and I couldn't see him, it stressed me out. And so it's so sad that women are forced to kind of go back and just like bounce back, right?
Mm,
And I did some research, and it's crazy. I was like, one of the lines in the song is like, the US always claims to be the best, but here's some of the countries that we're worse than. And
mm,
it's like the most obscure countries, dude.
mm.
Estonia, Lithuania, Bosnia, which America bombed the shit out of
Yeah.
Bosnia back in like the 90s. I'm like,
Actually,
that
has managed to
country
go.
that we absolutely like destroyed has better mat leave than us.
Mm.
And here's another one. Uzbekistan,
Yeah,
they get
wild,
like a
man.
they get like a year. Like
Yeah.
it's so there's all these like these really random, but then the other one, the other thing is like in the song, and this is how I try to be like relatable and like make it kind of clever, but also like whoa, kind of like really affect you. Is 6 weeks is 42 days. That's less time than summer break for seventh graders.
Mm.
That is oftentimes less time than it takes to marinate a dry aged steak.
Literally.
That is Amazon gives you more time to return a package.
Oh man. So did you
So
use all
like,
these? Do you use all the
yeah,
comparisons in the song? That is so good,
yeah,
man. Yeah, that's
yeah. So
perfect.
they're in there, right? So that's and I played it, and there's no chorus. It's just all bars, 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 bars. And
That's
I played
mad.
it yesterday for my wife for the first time, and it's like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
And she was just like, because she's going through it right now. She's on mat leave,
Yeah.
and she's just like, damn, like this really hits home.
Do you reckon this is going
Um,
to be the one that like goes next level? Like, because I
I
mean,
don't know, man.
all of your ones have gone next level, I'd say, like in terms of expectations from you. But I reckon, when you just get to something, you make something, and you're just like I know for a fact, I know when I hit you up, I was like, I need to get this dude before he gets too big. Like,
I've heard that from a few people, which is a really cool
it's a
compliment to
good
get.
compliment, right? Yeah.
It's a great compliment. For me, like I think the most views I've gotten on a video on Instagram is I've had two videos get to like 2.5 million,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is huge. My goal, I would really love to get one to like 5 million,
Yeah.
10 million, like that. That's crazy. But then it's all a crapshoot, dude. You see some of these videos that do get 10, 20, 30 million views, and
Dude,
you're like, why?
I had one and I had to get rid of it because the guy who was in the original video threatened to sue me. So it was essentially this guy, he's in America, he's like one of those naturopathy whatever dudes, but he was actually
Yeah.
a ninja warrior in America, but he filmed his daughter jumping like off a bridge. Like I'm talking like a 10 to 12 foot bridge, jumping off it and him catching her in his arms. And like,
Okay. How old was
everyone,
the kid?
kid was about maybe 3 or 4.
Oh shit. Okay.
Thank you. See, exactly. See what you just did then? That was I just cut myself reacting to it, being like, and I was just like, not me. Nah, I don't trust myself. I would never do that. Posted on
Why? There's
Instagram.
no there's no point in doing it.
Literally, what for what reason would you do that other than like a video? And like I'm talking like if he dropped this girl That's broken legs. Like it's a child. Anyway, posted on Facebook and on Instagram. Instagram got about 2 million views. So Facebook got 22 million views. I'm not
Whoa.
lying, dude. I was refreshing my follower account and it was going up 100 at like a second. There was 100 followers a second. I went from
Wow.
like 10,000 to about 50,000 in a day, right?
Wow.
And then this guy's like, I'll sue you if you take it down. In my head, I'm like, hang on a minute. You posted this online.
Little
Like,
public.
you
Yeah.
posted it and you allowed people to like do the reaction to it. And my reaction wasn't saying, I never said once that he was a bad dad. I never
Yeah, you
said
just not
once.
for me.
I just said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't trust myself to do that, blah, blah, blah. And he threatened to sue me. And I was like, one, I don't think you have any grounds to sue because if you look at the laws, like it's fine. I ended up deleting the video. But anyway, long story short, 22 million views for
That's insane.
absolutely nothing. That is, there are videos where I work tirelessly on editing
Yeah.
and they flop. And I've literally just said, "No, I wouldn't let my kid jump off a bridge." And it went to 22 million views. When I deleted it, I had to delete it at 22 mil. And I was like, but I was just like, whatever. I don't care about this video because I didn't even make it. But I was sitting here like,
Yeah,
how has this gotten this many views?
that's insane.
It's
Yeah,
wild, man.
it is crazy, but there's the ones that you think are going to resonate, but
Yeah.
and this one very well may be because like the C-section video did great,
Yeah.
but that's very it's a
Very
little bit
specific,
niche.
very niched. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you get into postpartum depression, maybe not quite as niche, but still
Mm.
niche.
Yep.
Not every mom has it. Not every mom struggles with it. But then you get into maternity leave. It's a little more broad.
Oh yeah.
I
And
think
everyone
more
knows.
women could probably resonate with that
Yeah.
than C-sections or maternity or postpartum depression.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. Like I reckon, yeah, I reckon you're gonna nail it, man. Because it's definitely something that's a topic. It's very topical at the moment too. Like a lot of people are saying, like, I think a lot of just from what I hear through podcasts and stuff, I think a lot of people, especially in the States, are going like, hang on a second. Yeah, why are we getting like we're like one of the most like we're like one of the top three countries in the world. How are we this far behind Uzbekistan?
That's the big kind of the whole like because it is the song does kind of turn a little bit political and
Mm.
it's like kind of like taking a stance and being like dude this is messed up or like there's I heard this story once and I can't unhear it, it's so crazy about maternity leave, where I heard a story and I'm trying to remember exactly what I say, in the song. It's like in the song it says, I have the lyrics up on the screen right now, so I'm just gonna read them. It says she heard a rumor, she didn't want to believe it because she's an optimist, but she heard the baby formula industry hired some lobbyists to block federal mat leave so working moms can't breastfeed. It's too
So they
obvious.
have to. Oh,
I don't want to
yeah.
believe it, but knowing DC, it probably is. You
Dude,
know what
I
I mean?
love that. That is
Because
so good. Yeah.
I heard a story that literally the baby formula industry hired lobbyists to go to DC and block any kind of federal maternity leave simply to make sure that working moms couldn't breastfeed, so they had to buy baby
And
formula.
do you want to know the
And I thought,
crazy thing?
this is the most diabolical shit I've
Yes.
ever heard.
And the craziest thing is, with the climate that we're in at the moment, it's not unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Totally believable, dude.
Yeah.
I imagine, but then you try to like really imagine a group of like 10 guys, 10 suits sitting in a boardroom, and one guy going, I have an idea. What if we make it literally impossible for moms to breastfeed because they have to go back to work, then they have to buy our product? Isn't that genius? And then the other nine guys going,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
We're going to make some
yeah,
money.
we're gonna make so
Yeah.
much freaking money. And it's like maybe they don't realize, or maybe they just don't care about what breast milk does for babies and
Oh,
how
literally.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why
Yeah.
would you not want babies to have? Because they don't care about people, man.
Mm. That's so true. And I hear that so frequently from so many like American podcasters. That's like, it's all about money. It's not about the work. And it's like, I think this comes down to a lot of things of like how do you be the best as a country is you make things accessible. You make things like this accessible so that you do have the best people growing up and coming through it. It makes no sense to make things harder for your own country when you're trying, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense for
I think
the
it's just
top
a short.
percentage, right?
It's such a short-sighted thought process to be like, well, I don't care. It's kind of like the whole AI situation that's happening
Mm,
right now. Is you've got 10 guys, let's say, that stand to make
a lot of
like
money.
an
All the money.
unfathomable amount of money,
Mm.
all the money, right? On of all this AI stuff. I mean, even like I was really surprised. I forget what it's called. Google's AI platform that basically can make movies.
Oh,
Like,
I saw my partner Kia sent me like a reel the other day, and it was just a movie made completely with just AI, and very, it was
like
pretty cool, like insane.
VO3 or I forget
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
called, right?
yep.
But one of the biggest investors in that technology is the guy who his name is Michael Ovitz. He started CAA, which is the big talent agency in Los Angeles that reps Will Smith and Leonardo DiCaprio and
The
all.
big dogs.
Dude, the guy's got so much money, and he's been a part of repping actors who have been in some of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah,
And he's like, I'm going to invest in this. And it's like, you don't care about the industry that you literally helped build. You're gonna destroy it. And in his mind, he's probably like, I know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm gonna make a ton of money.
yeah,
And it's very selfish. It's very much like short-sighted. I just think I think it's just literally like it's so selfish, and it's like I am gonna make so much money that my kids are never gonna have to work again. And it's like that's cool, but what about the other
yeah.
95% of the world?
Like
Like, what are they gonna do?
how much money do you need to do that? Like you don't. I mean, you need a lot of money, but you don't need billions to set your family up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you, mate,
No,
I get it. A couple
it's
mil, I
crazy.
get, but billions? You really want
But
billions?
and I get into these like really heavy topics, right?
Mm,
In a lot of my music, and I didn't set out to that. I'm a goofy guy, man. I like
mm.
to joke around. I like to have a good time.
But
Um,
people like you need to exist. It's like anything. Like people who are not affiliated with anything, people who are not you're not getting anything out of what you're, you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying you're not getting nothing out of it, but like you are doing this all these political things that you're talking about for parenting in general. They need people like you. Otherwise, it's just going to be linear. Everything's linear. Everyone's going to, like, especially in the States, if there's no competition on the other side, then one way is going to win without anything. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be people that bring attention to these things through different platforms.
well, I think we're more connected than ever, which is a good thing.
Mm.
As much as it's really easy to badmouth social media. I think it connects us in a way that does give smaller, disenfranchised type groups of people a voice.
Mm.
And especially, women have been undervalued in this country and, basically throughout the world
And pretty much everywhere,
since the
yeah.
beginning of time, which just
Mm.
doesn't make any sense to me.
And
I know that men
they make all the people. Like they
that's
make
not, they
all the
they
people.
literally create life. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me, like how you can't see that. And so I get involved in these like really deep topics, and yes, people do like that. But for me, every now and then, I'm like, I gotta do like five of these kind of songs: C sections and postpartum depression and maternity leave and sticking it to the man and one woman reached out to me and I'm like, I got to do a song about it. She really wants me to write a song for all the moms who have had miscarriages.
Big one,
Um,
man. I think
talk
that's a
about like
fantastic topic to talk about.
angel babies is what they
Yeah.
call them, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I can't even talk about it. I'm like, damn, that one's gonna be heavy too.
Mm.
But then every now and then I'm like, all right, I'll do five of those, and then I got to do one for me. And the
Yep.
one for me, I think you're gonna like is it's called Cool Dad.
Hell yeah,
And
boy.
this this is the Father's Day anthem. It comes out on June 12th.
And we're gonna do a heap of promo for it, man. We'll do a heap of promo.
Do you guys do Father's Day
So
the
we
same
do
day we do?
so we do Mother's Day the same day, but we do Father's Day in September. So our
Oh
Father's
shoot,
Day is
okay.
in September. So you got a double dig if you want, man, because
We'll
you
double
can.
down on it. Well, yeah, we'll
Yes, my
circle back
boy.
in September on it.
Yeah, I love it. I love because I'm pretty sure you'll probably have your hats and stuff out by then as well. Hey, but and like we'll
Yeah, the
obviously
hats will
talk.
be out. They just the patches just came in. I got the
Hell
hats, the
yeah, man.
patches, so I got to just put them all
Love
together
that.
now.
Well, the good thing is,
Um,
man, 70% of my audience are actually from the States. So you're
that's
talking,
amazing.
which is hilarious for me because I'm just an
Oh,
Aussie
good.
dude. Like there's literally, I
They
found
like
out,
the
man,
accent, man.
bro, there's like a cool dad community in New York City. These two dudes started like going for walks and now there's like six guys. And I'm sitting here like, dude, I can't even get there because you guys are in New York. I'm sitting here in Brisbane, and it just blows my mind when I hear things like that. That there's like people in New York City who listen to the podcast from some dude in some like city in Australia, and they're like, talking to each other and stuff like that, and going for walks at the park together. And I'm like, it's insane, man. Like you've probably got the same sort of feeling, but when you hear shit like that, you're just like, that's wild to me.
No, it's surreal, and it definitely is kind of the it's the why you do what you do, man. And this
Absolutely, man.
this one's this one's the lighthearted song. It's about being a cool dad. Like the hook is like, I'm a cool dad, black and white Air Max, black hat to the back, make a living off rap.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Oh,
it's
dude, I
just like,
love that.
yo, and it's me and my daughter in the video. We're going to Target, and we're just like having a good time, and I'm just like just trying to be the coolest dad I can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Not be this like stuffy, serious, like, nah, man, I want to be the dad that's like doing underdogs on the swing at the park and just
Yep,
doing, I
yep.
mean, doing the whole thing. So that's gonna be the Father's Day song. So Father's Day in America is the 15th, I believe, or maybe it's the 16th.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'll probably do some stuff for that as well because I know a lot of my followers are from the States, so I'll be giving a lot of love to the American dads.
Yeah, man, I wanna just, I wanna take a break from calling out, bad behavior from men and things like that, and just be like, no, man, let's also remember that there is still there's a group of men our age who are having kids who are really trying to be the best dad they can be, whether it be, I want to be the cool dad, I want to be the dad that my kids want to play with and want to share secrets with and want to be open and honest and feel comfortable and not afraid that I'm gonna, yell at them or just punish them or worse. I got nothing but respect for those dads, man. And you seem like one of them. I know I am. I'm one of them for sure, and I'm
Yeah,
trying my
yeah.
best every day. And I really want this next generation that's coming up. My daughter's Gen Alpha. My son is the first day of Gen Beta.
For real?
Um,
That's
he was
crazy.
born on the January 1st, 25, which is
Yeah.
literally that's when that new generation starts.
That's mad.
So this Gen Alpha, this Gen Beta generation that we're raising, I really want them to not only have great relationships with their moms, but have these really strong male role models in their lives, and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a lot of that comes down to too, like, divorce rates have always been pretty high in that like 50% range, and I hope I've done a little bit of research on it, and it seems like it's actually kind of coming down a little bit,
Which
which
is
is good.
amazing because
People
it's
are
it's so
staying.
important. It's so whether you parent together, cope it, whatever. It's that relationship as a teacher too. I've never seen good things come out of parents who resent each other. Like it never. The amount of impacts. There's two things that as a teacher I see that affect kids the most, and it's parents who resent each other and specifically dads who aren't present. It always ends
It's
badly.
brutal.
It always ends
It's brutal.
badly. Mm.
And I don't know, I don't even know, and I'm sure you'll agree with me wholeheartedly on this. I can't comprehend as a man how you could have a kid and walk away and
I
just not
literally, I
care.
don't. I had a chat with one of my mates on the podcast too, and his dad left when he was 9, and his son is 9 now, and he
Oh,
says he's just like, I don't know. Every time I look at my son, I don't understand how my dad could have left. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the most heartbreaking thing to think about. But
it
like
is.
the
It
thing
is.
about it is like we. we have the power to change that sort of stuff. And I think, like,
Really.
mums very rarely leave, but dads are usually typically the ones that up and leave. And I think if we can
Right.
stop that, like if we can empower dads or, show that being a dad is cool, being a dad is the best. And like, I think if we can do that, we're going to see a lot of difference in especially males at the moment. At the moment, males, young teenagers, they're looking, they're searching, they're trying to find, and this is the reason why people like Andrew Tate and stuff like that come up, is they're so desperately trying to seek a male role model because they don't have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that is so, as dads, our content and just being dads in general and passing on that fatherhood role to your, your son and stuff like that, it's going to solve so many of the issues that we have in men as well. Boys,
I hope
men,
so. I
whatever.
hope so. I hope so, man. Because
Mm,
I've kind of. It's funny. My parents got divorced when I was in second grade,
mm,
and it affects everybody differently, but it
mm,
doesn't. It's never a good thing.
mm.
My wife's parents divorced when she was a kid as well, and we both just made this pact. We were like, I love you, you love me. We decided to get married. Let's respect each other. Let's be kind to each other, and let's talk about things. If it's gonna get hard,
Mm.
20 years down, 10, 20, 50 years down the line, it's gonna get hard. But let's make a commitment. It's not just like, yeah, you say for better or for worse, and you make vows, right? But like on top of that vow, let's make a commitment that like divorce is just not gonna happen. It's just
Yeah.
it isn't a possible, unless someone's being abused, mentally or physically. I there's no excuse for us to get so disconnected and so resentful towards each other that we just can't even be in the same room, and it's better for our kids to have to pack a bag every other week and bounce back and forth. And
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it to my kids. Like you said about your friend, like my parents were divorced, and my dad, I was with my mom most of the time.
Mm.
But my dad was a good dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
and my dad was a good dad. And now that I'm an adult, I get this weird vibe from him that he thinks that maybe I don't need him anymore. And so like
Mm.
he hasn't called me in almost a year,
Yeah. Jeez.
and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, where like you said, I look at, like the other night I was thinking about it, because it was just kind of like making me sad or making me
Mm.
mad or whatever the emotion is. And I was laying in bed with my wife talking about it. And I'm looking at the baby monitor, and I look at my son on one of the monitors laying in his crib sleeping. I look at my daughter on the other one laying in her bed sleeping. And I'm just like, I couldn't imagine going a day without calling them or talking
Yeah.
to them. And if they
Exactly.
don't answer, I'm going to call the next day. And
Yeah.
I'm going to call and I'm going to call and I'm going to call, because I'm the parent and they are the child. And that's how this thing works.
Yeah.
And so it's just really hard when you're like, I can't wrap my brain around why you don't want to know about me.
Yeah.
Why you don't want to know, why you don't want to call me and congratulate me on having a son. Ask
Yeah.
me what it's like to have two kids now and have a boy and all. It's just so strange to like seemingly not care.
Yeah. No, and it's so, and I guess it's one of those things where because I know, like, my parents' relationship wasn't perfect, but learning from that. And, I think the cool thing about those situations, and also talking with my mate who's like, the moment my dad left, he's like, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to be the best dad humanly possible. And I think, there's two ways it could go. You could go the other way where you do similar things or you follow the pattern behavior, or you can completely transition and go, nah, fuck it. I'm going to be the best I could humanly possibly be. And I think
Yeah.
that's an incredible story when you have a situation like that. And I think the cool thing is knowing that you have embodied that feeling and you're going, I'm not letting this ever happen to my kids. My kids will never experience the pain that I've gone through dealing with this. And I think that's the best sort of, outcome to a problem, right? Is the fact that you've taken this and you've gone, my kids will never experience this. which is like,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
stops here. It stops.
exactly. And I think that's
It
the big thing.
stops
It
here.
stops here. Yeah, I think that's the best mentality to have of all these things that have gone wrong and all these things that, all these problems you have to deal with. It's like, I'm the last one. Like, I'm the last person that is ever going to deal with this in my family line. And then from me onwards, it's going to be positive. And I think the power to change that is immensely important. And it's pretty, and it's empowering too, right? You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't want my daughter to marry somebody that doesn't have compassion towards her if she has a C-section.
Yeah.
I don't want my daughter to marry somebody who tells her that her postpartum depression is all
Isn't
made up.
real, things like that. Yeah.
I don't want my daughter to have a baby and then feel like she's forced to bounce back and get back to work. You know what I mean? Like I want to
Mm.
see like I can truly whether make a difference in just her and like the kind of partner she picks or try to truly make a difference in like maybe some like law like some rules and laws get passed, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe like some we truly do make some serious change. I don't know if it's gonna happen, especially if it's gonna happen because of me, but I have to use my voice and do it the best way I can. And then you know, like I said, in between, you know, sprinkle in
A little bit of fun, a little bit of cool dad stuff, bro.
some fun cool dad stuff,
Yeah.
man.
Oh man, honestly, Brett, this has been an incredible chat, man. Incredible chat. I'm obviously conscious of time because I know it's probably getting late for you as well.
Yeah,
But man, I just wanted to say like a massive thank you for jumping on because, like I said, I know, I can see it. You're gonna be huge. Like I know it's gonna be big, and I think it's a privilege to me to obviously get to know you through this 2 hours, and I guess build a friendship through you, with you in this chat as well, and knowing that we'll probably stay connected in a lot of different ways, especially
yeah,
with if I can get over to the States and do some more interviews over there eventually. That's the plan.
yeah.
But mate, like what you're doing is incredible, and I think you're going down the right path. You're killing it. Everything's great, and yeah, I just really think you're doing a fantastic job, not just as a parent, but just as a content creator too, man.
I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me, and I've enjoyed chatting with you too. And anytime you ever come to the States, man, if you make it out to California, I would absolutely love to grab lunch, get a beer,
Oh,
do it,
would
just
love
hang
that,
out with
mate.
dads.
Would love it, man. All right, Brett. Where can, obviously we've spoken about it a lot, but where can people find you, brother?
Yeah, so YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram are the big ones. It's Dad Got Bars.
Love that, love that. And we got the song. It's 6 weeks. 6 weeks dropping on. When's that coming out?
Yep. So 6 weeks. I don't have a release date just yet, but it should be the next like 7 to 10 days.
Love that.
And then we've got Cool Dad coming out on June 12th. That's the like the pre Father's Day weekend
Hell
anthem
yeah,
with.
man. And I'll
Um,
be doing some content around that as well, so don't worry about it, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little giveaway too.
Hell yeah.
I've got some cool dad hats. And so we're gonna we're gonna do a little giveaway where we want people to, tag a cool dad, whether it be your dad or a dad or for the wives, tag your husband or whatever. And we're gonna pick a couple of people and give away some hats too. So
Oh, love it, man. I love it. I'll keep you on for a second. I'll wrap this up and then I'll finish the recording. Then we can have a little bit of a chat after that. But guys, it's Cool Dad Collective podcast. Go over. Dad got bars. You should be following already. But Cool Dad Collective _ on Instagram, at Cool Dad Collective on TikTok. And if you want to get in touch with the podcast, at Cool Dad, no, just Cool Dad Collective at hotmail.com. I'm getting exhausted. I've been chatting for ages, bro. I need a nap or something. Thank you so much, Brett, for coming on, guys. And yeah, you know what it is. Be kind to your kids, kind to your partner. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.